Hello everybody, welcome back to Smoky Hill Bonsai. Hope you're well. Seems like we're still have some issues with the COVID-19. Things are starting to open up around, so we'll keep an eye on that, see how things go. I am getting to the point where I am in desperate need of a haircut. Normally my hair doesn't get this long, and I don't normally do my own beard shaving either. I've been trying to keep up with that, but I don't know. I'm anxious to get back into a barber shop when the time is right and everything is safe. Today is also Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. Later on this evening, we'll be going out to the farm and celebrate Mother's Day with my mom. Today, I wanted to do a video on starting seeds. It's one thing I've always enjoyed doing, mostly collecting maple seeds. Used to collect a lot of acorns. So today I want to show you my process of how I sprout seeds, and I'll also talk to you a little bit about what I intend to do with the seeds. Oftentimes seeds, growing bonsai from seeds takes a really long time, and to get a really nice tree is not something that happens quickly with growing from seedlings, but I am growing them mostly because I enjoy it, but I think they could be used as a training tool as well. So I'm gonna set a little workstation up on the back patio and show you my process for sprouting tree seeds. So here I am on the back patio where I have set up this little workstation here. We're going to talk about my process for sprouting tree seeds. Over 20 years ago, when I got into horticulture and was going to school, one thing we had to do was learn plant identification. And so I would spend a lot of time in the parks looking at trees and shrubs, identifying them and learning about them. That is when I began to collect seeds and try to sprout them. Also, it's easy to collect seeds from maple trees around town in the parks. One thing that I want to stop here and talk about now is making sure that you have permission to collect where you are, and make sure you understand what the local laws are in your area. Just a quick Google search, I could see that many states had different laws on where you can and cannot collect seeds, and also Bureau of Land Management has got a statement on there about what you can and can't do. So before you go out collecting seeds or plant material of some kind, make sure that you understand what the laws are where you are. Here in Salina years ago, I talked to the city forester, and he too enjoys collecting seeds for different reasons, and he told me that it was okay to collect seeds from our city parks. And so that's where almost all the seeds come from that I have. So since I just talked about collecting seeds, I first want to show you seeds that I have collected. So this kitty litter bucket is full of cypress seeds, also other debris and stuff, because when I collected them I did not take the time to separate out the debris at this time, and they were just in storage for the winter this way. So as I get ready, closer to wanting to plant them, I will get them out and start soaking them. Now, years ago, when I first started trying to sprout cypress seeds, I had really bad luck. I had a very poor germination rate on them. And I looked up 2 or 3 different places online about germinating bald cypress, and a lot of places generically said soak the trees and then plant them and they should sprout. Another year probably went by with very poor results germinating. And then I don't know what I was looking for or where I was, what I was looking for online, but I randomly found some person had posted that if you would soak your bald cypress seeds for 70 days, your germination rate will be excellent. And so I tried that. I gathered up some seeds and I soaked, I think it was a gallon jar that I put them in, filled it up, put water in it, and soaked them for 70 to 80 days. And then when I planted them, my germination rate exploded. So now I have got, I feel like now I can grow as many cypress seeds as I can handle at any time, and I will show you some of those seedlings here shortly. Other seeds that I have available to me to collect locally is ginkgo, and I also have a pretty good success rate of sprouting the ginkgo seed, and again I will show you those in a minute. In the local parks we have some pretty nice maple trees that I can easily and safely get some seeds off of. So now we talked a little bit about collecting them, getting permission, making sure that you're allowed to be where you are, and make sure that it's okay to collect seeds in that manner. So other ways to get some seeds is right here. I have a whole bunch of, these are all lemons actually. I had a friend that had a greenhouse and she was growing a lemon tree inside the greenhouse, and I actually had a bonsai tree that I needed to protect in the wintertime, so I made an arrangement with her to overwinter the tree inside one of her greenhouses. Now it was a greenhouse that was not being heated at the time, so it wasn't in a warm greenhouse, but it was just protected from the elements. And then of course when she did fire it up early in the spring, it did start to warm up earlier, and then it woke up earlier, and it was a very healthy tree, and I think that helped save it. Anyway, while we were there, her lemon tree had lemons all over it, and I had my daughter with her. My daughter was intrigued by the lemon tree, and so she picked one and let us take a lemon home with us. It was great, great flavor of lemon, and we saved the seeds, and this is a tree that I grew from that lemon seed. I have showed this tree to a few people, and one thing I like to do is pick a leaf off of it and crush it and have people smell it. Very citrusy. You could tell right off the bat it's a lemon. So that's kind of a fun tree to have. So because people are so intrigued with it, I have sprouted many more lemons. This is not from the original tree from the greenhouse, but this is just an organic lemon that I got at the local grocery store. My daughter and I picked the seeds out and cleaned them, stored them, soaked them, and then planted them, and they sprouted. So now let's talk about what to do with the seeds after you acquire them. Oftentimes the seed will go into a dormant state prior to germinating, and oftentimes this is thought to protect the seed from not sprouting too early in the fall time and then dying through the winter in the cold. And also it gives the seeds a chance to maybe be dispersed or be carried away from the parent tree. So many seeds have to go through a stratification period as part of the dormancy period, and so that's why I collect them and store them in the refrigerator. Many of the seeds here have to go through a cold treatment or a cold rest period. In some places it could be a heat stratification. Not every plant lives in a cold climate and needs that winter time to do that. Places in the tropics, obviously they won't freeze, so they have different needs to in which they stratify. So let me show you now how I will prepare a ginkgo seed to be planted. So I like to soak the seeds before I plant them. And so here is the haydite that I wintered the ginkgo seeds in the refrigerator. And you can see. Now, one thing we're going to do is, while we soak them, is we're going to see if they will sink. Typically, if the seed sinks, it's a good viable seed. It's called float testing. So if something is floating, it usually is not a good seed. So it's called float testing, and they're all sinking, so that's a good sign. Let's see, let's just keep going. I don't know how many more seeds I have in here. I have already planted some this spring, and I was hoping that I would have a example of a tree that just sprouted this spring. But I don't. So let's put that there. Now what I'll do is I'll let those soak. And then the next process would be to scarify them. And what I normally do, look at that. That one is already busted open and probably ready to plant. So because of that, I think I'll just go ahead and plant it. So like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about maple seeds sprouting in the refrigerator, this ginkgo tree here has decided that it is time to get started. And I was going to soak it overnight, but I'm gonna go ahead and plant it now. So what I like to do is just get a good just a bagged potting mix, and then I mix some haydite in it, or when I have extra bonsai soil, I'll mix into that soil. So I'll put it in there. I will lay the seed on there, which is now sprouting. And then I'll give it a good watering. And this soil is a little bit dry, so it will probably take many waterings to get it good and moist. So in the coming days, with the sun shining, we've got rain coming up, that it will sprout and should have a plant here pretty soon. Here are a couple ginkgo trees from last year that are just coming out of their winter dormancy. Just put some leaves on. Now we've had some crazy weather up and down temperatures, had some had a late frost after these things had leafed out, and I think some of the yellowing to it and and I think some of the ragginess to it had to do with that frost. Not only that, but it looks like there's a little bit of insect nibbling on it. So again, these are last year's, a couple of last year's ginkgo trees. I got several more of them out in the garden. So next, let's look at bald cypress. Now I have the ability to grab a large quantity of cypress seeds and store them. I just store them in used kitty litter containers. And when I grab them, I'm usually in a hurry, so I just grab a whole bunch of them, and you can see there's a lot of debris in there. Anyways, so they stored in there nicely through the winter time, and I had started soaking some seeds already. I already have some planted, but let me show you my bucket of seeds that are soaking. Now, like I mentioned before, I soak the seeds for 70 to 80 days. These seeds have a real sticky substance on them, and they're really oily. So I normally like to try to wear gloves when I'm working with them, just because you get that sticky resin on you, and it's kind of difficult to wash off. I try to change the water out every couple weeks, and I simply just kind of crack the lid open a little bit, dump out the water, and then put fresh water in there. And these are about ready to plant. So let me show you how I plant them and what I plant these seeds in. So I had intended earlier to take some of the seeds that were soaking and get them out and let them dry up a little bit for just for handling reasons. You can see that sticky resin. I did not put my gloves on, and I will pay for that with sticky hands the rest of the evening, I'm sure. Here is a cypress seed. When they come off of the tree, they come in this ball, and then oftentimes they just easily break open, and here are the seeds. There was a squirrel that has decided to join us nearby, and he is yelling at me because I have not filled the feeder recently, and it has now got the attention of the neighbor dog, who is expressing his displeasure of the squirrel being there. So anyways, it's not necessary really to break and separate the whole of the seed. It would take too much time, especially when you're trying to mass produce them. So I take them, I have this plastic bonsai training container, and I just sprinkle the seeds on there. Work them into the soil. And then here I have a little extra soil. I will just top it off. Firm it down a little bit, and then this will go out into the garden. I will water it in tonight. We're expecting rain the next few days, and I will just keep an eye on it, make sure that they stay wet until they germinate. Here are a couple examples of last year's seedlings. Looks like the tips maybe died off in the wintertime, but you can see I just had an extra container laying around. I probably threw, I don't know, 4 or 5 seeds in there. A couple of them made it. Maybe the squirrels dug a couple of them out. Maybe they just dried out or something. Another container, I probably threw several seeds in. Looks like there's a willow sprouted up in there also. But I'll let them grow in here for until next year. Next year I'll pull them out and then put them in their own containers. Here is one of the maple trees that I gathered from the park last year, and like I said, is now living outside permanently. The last seed that I want to talk about is a Don Redwood. A friend of mine who works at the zoo, the San Francisco Zoo, had sent me a whole packet of seeds that he's collected from a tree from his yard just outside of San Francisco. I need to do a little research on these first and find out, I need to find out from him when they were collected and if I need to put them in the refrigerator at all, or if I need to start soaking them. So I am not going to plant these today, but I will be real soon. And I am going to put it in this. This is a like a takeout, a salad takeout container that you might get from your local grocery store off the salad bar. I've repurposed it into a little greenhouse. So I've got some good, well-draining soil in there, and I will work to moisten it before I put the seeds in there, and then I put some vent holes. I have used this many times to successfully sprout seeds inside, and I will put the Don Redwood seeds inside of this container to sprout them. So those are all the seeds that I have to show you today. I've always enjoyed planting the seeds, and I probably had better wrap this video up soon because my neighbor has started to mow the lawn, and that may interfere with making this video. What I was going to talk about is what I intend to do with the seeds. There are many people in my local community who have an interest in bonsai and are trying many different methods of cultivating bonsai. And one thing that we hear a lot about is the expense of either buying a tree or acquiring a tree somehow. And a lot of people are really afraid, as I am still sometimes, to really get in and do some root work. So the trees, I don't intend on them to be a tree that is meant to be killed or butchered bad, but it is meant to be a tree that somebody can feel confident to remove it from the pot, do some root trimming on it, and repot it and grow it. One that you can feel confident that you haven't spent a lot of money on or have a lot of time invested in and are too afraid to touch it. So hopefully that serves the purpose. Hopefully it helps get people over their fear of digging in a root system and cutting tap roots off or big roots. Give people the confidence to take care of them through the summertime. Good tree to practice on, making sure you're getting plenty of water on it. Good trees to watch for all the different signs of when it's time to prune or water or repot or bed them down for the winter time, or in some cases get them into shade in the heat of summer. So that's the intent. I don't look at making any money off of them or anything, but hopefully it will serve a purpose and help people be more comfortable cultivating bonsai. So with that said, it is Mother's Day and we are headed out to the farm to celebrate my mother today. Happy spring. I hope everybody's healthy and hopefully everything's safe again soon to go out and enjoy the company of others. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my wife, Anne-Marie, the mother of our 2 beautiful children. Anne-Marie is a smart and very caring woman. She is a school teacher. She is putting up with a lot of with this COVID-19 stuff, being out of school and homeschooling our children at the same time. So with that, Anne-Marie, I love you and you're a great mother. Looks like they're pretty active today. I think I'm squatting down right in their flight path because I keep getting hit in the back of the head with them. How's that suit fit?
It fits great.
You ready to get in, do some beehive inspections?
Yeah. I do. You're gonna have to buy me gloves for this because look. Just hope I don't get scabs.
Oh, so it looks like they're building some comb on the bottom, huh?
Comey bottom. Do I set it down over here?
Yeah, gently set that one down. So all we want to do now is just get a look. Oh wow, look down in there.
Wait, should I? Ugh.
So the bees are now up in the top brood box, building comb. And so we're not going to disturb them too much. I just want to make sure that they are up there working. And I can see that they are starting to pack that with honey.
And down here, we got some little workers over here.